Welcome to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. Thank you for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about pivotal moments in superhero movie history. Today, we are addressing the 2006 high school biology textbook, X-Men: The Last Stand. Now, I get it. You don't have time for all this nonsense, so I am using the Sid Field 3-act structure to break up the episode. So this is Act 1 of X-Men: The Last Stand, and then I'll be releasing Act 2 and Act 3 later on in the week. And now I want to introduce my guest joining me today, author and playwright Laramie Dean. Laramie, hello.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you. Laramie and I know each other from my old Dark Shadows blog days.
Old Dark Shadows
Yes.
blog.
It was a minute ago.
Oh gosh, it was like 2014, I think, when you started, wasn't it?
I know. And you have a new horror book that just came out.
I do. It's called Black Forest. It's from Inkshares. You can find it anywhere you want to find it. It's a
What is it about? Tell us all about it.
queer horror novel about a kid who goes to college, and college is hard, and college is harder because he sees dead people, and there's probably demons and other scary things like having to get up at 8 o'clock for a math class. And demons. Oh, and demons. Yeah.
Yeah, both. College was a very scary time.
Ugh, college is high school with no bedtime. Nobody to make you. Roommates cramming people into a room that's like 8 by 8. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I had a very small dorm room. It just seems mean. The whole thing just seems mean.
And they make you figure out like kind of what you want your future to be, which is a terrifying thing to have to
Oh
do
my God. And
when
when
you're a
you're
tiny child.
18,
Yeah.
I mean, ooh, yeah. No, I had no idea. I just was like, great, yeah, tell me what to do.
Yeah, you and I went to college very similarly, I feel.
He's at a college with serial killers and monsters and stuff too. So if that's your jam, my website is bylaramiedean.com. Everything is by Laramie Dean. Instagram. You can find me wherever you want to.
Let's talk about X3 The Last Stand.
Let's
Here's
do it.
so I got some backstory for The Last Stand. They made X2, X-Men United, in 2003, and it did very, very well. Fox really wanted a third film. And Bryan Singer, the terrible man who directed the first two films, he declined to return because he wanted to work on Superman Returns instead. So he left in 2004. I'm going to get into these dates a little bit. 2004, we're now a year into pre-production, and he took his screenwriters with him. So then there was a whole series of directors for the next like 8-9 months that Fox kept like offering this to, and they all declined for one reason or another. Like Joss Whedon was working on a Wonder Woman film, Zack Snyder was working on 300, Guillermo del Toro was committed to Pan's Labyrinth. Like everybody had other stuff to do. And February 2005, Fox still doesn't have a director, but they announced a release date anyway, which was kind of the problem. They said early 2005, they say, we're going to put this out Memorial Day 2006. Okay. March 2005, they hire a guy. They hire Matthew Vaughn, and he casts some people, and then he leaves 2 months later because basically like trying to make a $200 million movie in a year is just a stupid thing to try and do. So they finally hire Brett Ratner in June 2005. He is just as terrible and sex abusey as Bryan Singer is. He does not know the X-Men. He does not care. He's just going to get the job done. He has 11 months to do it.
Is it awful if I hear a director from Hollywood, I just assume they're a monster?
Right, that's something. Yeah, there's something bad. If you go and you look at Variety, you're
Yes,
going to find out something
yes.
terrible about them.
When I was doing research for this, I was like, oh, Bryan Singer, how bad was he? Brett
Oh, he
Ratner,
was.
how bad was he? Turns out pretty.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
pretty,
Brian,
very.
I would say especially. Yeah. So meanwhile, writer Simon Kinberg really wanted to do the Dark Phoenix saga, which is this popular, very well remembered 1980 storyline from Uncanny X-Men. Fox thought it was too dark, and so they wanted a different storyline about a cure for mutants. Kinberg was very dissatisfied with this, with sort of like how Dark Phoenix had to get squished down from the A plot down to the B plot. So we'll talk about Dark Phoenix in a little bit. Before we get into it, let's run the numbers. This movie made $234 million, which is number 4 for the year. It was under Pirates of the Caribbean 2, Night at the Museum, and Cars. And then X-Men: The Last Stand. Fantastic opening weekend. It dropped sharply after that, but this turned out to be the best X-Men film at the domestic box office. But the reviews were very mixed for the three. Like X-Men got 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. X2 has 85%, and then X3 57%. So, as always happens, the sequels, they make more money and people do not like them as much.
And to call these sequels is interesting because I mean, like we were saying, it's a continuing. Like doesn't X2 end like Jean is in I haven't seen this movie in 20 years. Jean is in a lake, right?
Yes. Yep.
And
Yeah,
water comes down.
she got drowned, and then at the very end you
Like
see the Phoenix fire thing.
Yeah. Which
Underwater.
I didn't get that when I was, I don't know, 22 at the time, and my
It's
friends.
it's a hard image to get. I would say fire underwater. It makes me feel like they had a real hard time figuring out what the elements are and how they work.
Those two are unmixy things.
Yeah, yeah. So that is where we're starting out in this movie. We're gonna let's get into Act 1. Movie begins 20 years in the past, back in the day when Xavier could walk and Magneto was his wingman.
Had a wig for Ian McKellen.
Yes, and they were they tried to make him look younger. They tried to say it was 20 years earlier. They looked just the same to me.
When I wasn't watching the screen, I actually had a hard time telling who was who sometimes. Like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen have very, very similar. I'm not going to do an imitation. Very, very similar voice.
They have like the deep British voice. Yeah.
A deep British voice. The deep British voice.
Important diva voice. Yeah.
Well, Ian McKellen only did these movies, right? Because, I mean, this is what I think I'd heard, because there was like queer subtext, right? That he was saying this is why I want to do these movies. Am I wrong?
I hadn't heard that, but yeah, I could believe that.
Well, now I said it, so it must be true.
Now it's true. And it's a difficult analogy to make, because it's kind of like an analogy for sexuality, but then they're also just unbelievably dangerous.
Well, this is the same thought that I had with the True Blood TV series, where Alan Ball was like, "Oh no, this is not queer subtext," but then the opening credits had graffiti that said "God hates fangs." And I was like, well, now you're making it explicit. And I guess as much as I love, well, and I don't anymore. I don't anymore. I was gonna say, as much as I love a good queer coding, and I don't want queer coding. I want actual explicit
queerness,
queer characters. Who are superheroes, who are monsters. I think Ice Dude,
Iceman.
Iceman. Ice person. He's, I think, out in the comics now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he came out. It was maybe like 10 years ago.
A couple of years ago. And in the DC world, which is where I still pay a little bit of attention. One of my favorite Robin, actually, the Robin that came of Robinness when I was in the comics when I was 10 or 11. He came out as bisexual recently, which was really exciting to me, where I was like, yes, I don't want the trappings and the coding of hiding my identity
in a secret.
Exactly. I want him to be a queer character who is having to hide his this other identity, and I think that's really interesting. So and
there's Jonathan Kent now, Superman's son.
Yes. I saw that, because I've been buying the Pride. They put out these Pride. They're so cute, and I buy them.
Know.
Catman, but they're all bisexual. It's like they can't say, "Oh, this character is gay. This character is gay." They've got to be.
I think Jonathan's gay. I don't know. There's an Aquaman. There's also a new Aquaman.
But it's always like it's never like the core.
No,
it's never the core. Like they could never say Batman is gay or bisexual or something. It's like it's the third Robin. It's this Robin that you did not know of. But you say Robin, Batman and Robin. I mean, this is what happened when they killed Jason Todd in the 80s. You say Robin, and most of the audience are going to assume that there is one Batman and one Robin, and they killed him. Right? They killed Robin. They don't know that there's 3 or 4 or 15 or how many Robins there have been.
Right.
So it's just interesting to me that they're like, okay, we're gonna have queer characters, but they're gonna be like third tier, and they're not gonna be gay, they're gonna be bisexual. And I don't want to do like bi erasure. I don't want to like bisexual characters, but it just seems like it's a safer choice. You know what I mean? So I when I saw this movie the first time, I remember thinking, oh yeah, this is, a cure for queerness, a cure for whatever makes you other. And I didn't. It made me feel a little icky, which is, I'm going back to this thing I was talking about with True Blood. It's the same thing. I was like, these vampires, you're coding them as queer, and people are like, oh, they're monsters. And I was like, well, they are monsters. They have
Right.
fangs and they
Yeah.
kill you with them and they
Yeah.
drink your blood and they murder you and it's painful.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to be compared to that.
Whereas queer people are just kind of more or less fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. And don't and we
more
don't
or
like
less.
murder people with our enormous claws or our
Right. Or
terrible lightning
stealing.
powers. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. We're at the opening. We're jumping ahead. We're 20 years
we have
ago, whatever
we
that
have
was.
so much more to talk about. Yeah, so here we are 20 years in the past. We're that far behind. And so Xavier and Magneto have come to a suburban home on some movie studio backlot to sweet talk a family into delivering their daughter to a terrorist training facility where they're planning to lock her into a holodeck and throw flame-spitting velociraptors at her. And so here comes little Jean Grey walking down the stairs, and she's not a happy girl at all.
He's very self-possessed.
She is able to do, I think, some pretty cool shit, and she does not seem to be enjoying it at all.
Oh, I thought she was. She seemed to be like, no, look what I can do. I'm gonna lift all these cars up with my
Yeah,
brain. I thought she was like, no, I'm
I
fine.
got it. Yeah, I got this.
But
I don't need you.
they don't show her going with them, do they? They just kind of
No, they
they don't
ended.
show
Yeah,
her
they ended with the big like complicated question of you have more power than you can imagine, Jean. The question is, will you control that power or let it control you? And that is the analogy. That's the gay analogy right there. That we have power. We have more power than we can imagine. I actually so Mike, that's my question for you, Laramie. Will you control that power or have you let that power control you?
Oh, I let that power control me all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of half and half.
let my I
I
let
have
my queerness
moments.
out.
Yeah, just let it control you completely.
Well, it's because she's a woman too. I watched WandaVision and then I watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I was
Yeah,
so pissed. I was
I
so
know.
mad where I was like, it's this trope again of a woman who has
Hmm.
powers that exceed those of men, but she can't be trusted because her
Yeah,
emotions are too much.
exactly. She can't control
She'll,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Dark Willow,
Hmm.
it's Angelique,
Yeah.
it's any woman who has these powers, she can't be trusted with them. And so
Hmm.
I'm watching this and here's these two old white dudes coming along who are
Right.
like, hey, little girl. but
Right.
then
We will take care
but
of this.
then but then they're right. I mean, the way
Yeah.
that the narrative positions this, because
Hmm.
it's written by two straight guys, the way
Yep.
that the narrative positions this and the way that the narrative positioned Wanda in Multiverse of Madness is she can't
Hmm.
be trusted, she can't be controlled. And I
Right.
was like,
These witches. Why? Yeah.
why couldn't it be the other way around? Why couldn't it be Doctor Strange who
Hmm.
was because he was grieving, I guess. I don't really remember. He
Yeah.
was like, why couldn't he be the person who's like out to
Right.
destroy the world to
Hmm.
get what he wants? And Scarlet Witch has to stop him. Why couldn't it be that?
Right.
That
Yeah.
to me seems so much more interesting in turning this trope on its head.
Hmm.
It's like we're 20 years
Yeah.
past what you guys were doing, and you know what
And they're
these
still
things.
doing this. Yeah.
They're still doing the same thing. So I was
Yeah.
very much, oh, but fuck you.
Let's talk about the self-mutilation scene. That's the next scene. Next scene basically challenges the audience to stay in their seats instead of just going and complaining to the manager and asking for their money back. Because we are 3.5 minutes into this movie, and there's a child self-mutilation scene that, for me at least,
Oh my god.
agonizing to watch.
Oh, the I was like,
It's the sound.
it's
It's the sound.
Angel,
Yeah.
little Angel cutting his wings off, which
Yeah.
again, with queer coding, I mean, here's this
The
little
little
twink
boy
who grows
in
up
the
into a
background.
big twink,
Yeah.
um, blonde and
Hmm.
dewy and but like the stumps. Oh, I had forgotten that.
I'm sorry to bring this to you, but yeah, no, and for
Ugh.
me, it's the sound that there's
Mm.
this. You hear a young boy scraping at his own body to saw off this mutation growing between his shoulder blades, and the sound of it is horrifying. And they keep it going for 30 seconds, and so the kid is trying to like hide all of the blood and mutilation instruments. And then you get to like see what it looked like, the little red bloody stumps of what he's doing. It just, I not a fan of this scene at all. And to have it happen right at the top.
So what I was like, what is your end game here, kid? Can you hide
Yeah.
the stumps then? The wings must grow back.
Right, because I
That
don't know
just
what
occurred
he's
to me.
scraping at. Yeah. that then
Is he gonna
grow.
do it forever?
I think he is. I think that's the idea.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. A little Warren.
Is that from the comic books? Does he try to
I
do that
don't
in the comic
know. I
books?
don't think so. No, they don't.
Oh,
Nobody does that anywhere. We don't do child self-mutilation at all, anywhere. It's not a thing that we do. It's not even a trope.
so terrible. And how far are we into this? 3 minutes? Four
Yeah, we're 3 minutes.
minutes?
Okay, we got opening titles. For some reason, nobody is telling us that evolution has brought new life forms into being and mutants are the next stage. Like they've done that in the last two, but now I guess they're kind of like leaving it up to our own discretion. We emerge into the not too distant future where I don't know who is responsible for the upkeep of this place. But the neighborhood has gone dramatically downhill. We are in a World War type situation where everything is just rubble and debris, and the air is choked with dust, and there are just incoming missiles and laser bolts and all of our little characters. So we've got like Storm and Wolverine, and then the kids who we're gonna have to deal with: Bobby and Kitty and Colossus and Rogue.
Uh, Bad wigs again. I'm gonna be the
Oh, on
wig person.
Wolverine.
This no on Storm. Oh, Halle
Oh
Berry
yeah,
should have sued. Ooh,
you didn't like that.
oh no, the wig situation to this movie is not good. I was like,
Yeah.
really? I know it was 2006 and maybe things weren't as No, things were pretty HD at the time. I was like, I can look at this wig and go, girl,
Yeah.
girl.
Do we want to talk from him about like worst wig in the movie? I feel like I've got mine.
Wolverine's is pretty bad, but I feel like that's because no human, well, no hair would ever do that
Yeah. I mean,
naturally, and
it's
that's like
possible that is actually just styling. I'm gonna say Jean Grey, possessed Jean Grey
oh, it wasn't good either.
looks
No,
awful. I feel like from
Famke
moment
Janssen
from
again.
yeah, from the head down.
Disaster Jean Grey. And the red never looks. I was like, there
No.
are real people with red hair, you know.
I know, yeah, it's kind of like
Not
bloody
what red hair looks
crimson
like.
something. Yeah. No, I know. I had a real
Maybe that's
problem with
part of her mutant power, though. I mean, what if she controls all the molecules and
oh,
all the universes ever? Maybe she likes her hair to look that way.
I mean, she must, but you gotta wonder, like, yeah, she should be able to do something about this. She has so much power.
Styling these people. Oh, more strikes. More strikes.
So we got these kids are fighting with missiles. Bobby's icing one up. So there's Bobby who's Iceman, who ices up a missile. There's Kitty Pryde,
It was
who
Elliot Page. I was
who is Elliot
shocked.
Page. Yep.
I forgot that he was in this movie. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's Elliot Page. Oh my God. And then I couldn't remember what Kitty Pryde did, and then I remembered what Kitty Pryde did.
What does Kitty
Um,
Pryde do?
she can go through walls. She phases through walls. She can
Yeah.
take people with her.
hmm Here's where we see Rogue's power as well, which is to touch another mutant and to like use their power to feed off their power.
But it kills
So
them, right? She can't touch people.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
except for
So what
Colossus,
makes
which she does. So the way that they intro it here at the beginning is that she like grabs onto Colossus when there's another missile or something coming at them, and she turns metal as well. And that seems
oh
to be he seems to be able to take it, but everybody else, if you Rogue has, she's very popular, and
she's in the first movie,
I don't know
right?
why. Well, she's the main character in the first movie, kind of.
Oh.
It's like Rogue and Wolverine, basically. Um,
But you don't you
I don't get
like
her.
her.
I don't get why. I don't get how she works. I definitely don't get why she's still in this movie.
She's hardly in the movie.
She pains me. I know. She's so
You're gonna get
useless.
so much hate from the
The
Rogue
Rogue fans.
community. See, I
Those
don't have a horse
Rogue
to be
fans.
today,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say what I want. Anyway, so where are we? We're in the lasers and explosions.
Danger, class dismissed, I feel, for you and me. Class dismissed. So here, like, we got little James Marsden being all sad.
I
Meanwhile, little
forgot he was in
Cyclops.
this too. So
Well,
cute.
he's not for very much.
No, because he was off doing something else too.
He went to do
Um,
Superman Returns. Yeah, so he does like a few scenes in this,
right.
and then he is gone.
Which is too bad because he looks exactly the same today as he did in
I know. Such a
2006.
beautiful boy. I feel like they don't use him putting the glasses over his eyes. I feel like does not use him to his best advantage. But he's being sad about Jean, and he's hearing her voice calling him, and he has like a little snappy scene with Wolverine where Wolverine is trying to talk to him and say, like, yeah, Jean died, but we got to get over this. I have no idea how long it's been
I was gonna ask that question.
since
Like,
Jean
are
was
we
gone.
a couple of weeks, couple of well, her hair has grown so much underwater. And yeah. Do we have a
None.
time frame in this movie? No one has cell phones.
And then we see Beast, which
Kelsey
is
Grammer. I
he is
forgot he
so
was in this
beautiful.
movie
Kelsey Grammer.
too.
Yeah, he's we see him upside down, reading Scientific American. They call him Mr. Secretary, so he is apparently cabinet level Secretary of Mutant Affairs. Although when they call him and he goes into the room, it feels like they've been having that meeting without him. He's not included in all of these meetings, it feels.
Why is he blue?
Why not be blue?
Oh, well, I suppose. He reminds me of a Muppet. I was like, oh, he's so furry. Yeah, you want to pet him. Just want to pet
Yeah.
him. He's not a werewolf, though.
No, this is him. This is who he is now.
Just an
So he
animal.
started out, yeah, his mutation has changed a whole bunch over the years because he started out just as a guy who had like funny feet,
Oh,
and it's not until later on that he starts becoming more and more animal like. And
beastish,
he spends some
esque.
time like in the comics as he looks more like a cat, and sometimes he looks more like a dog or I don't know what the hell he looks like.
Well, I guess they don't tell us in this movie. Did he come out of the womb as this like furry? What does Wolverine call him? Like fur ball? Does he
Yeah,
come out as like a cute little ball of fur? Because when
we don't
well, I
know.
guess we'll get to Leech, but when Leech touches him, he
Yeah, he
gets a
turns
human
white.
hand, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Well, that's interesting."
yeah.
So I guess it raises a lot of questions too about like I mean I don't know what is real? What are you really? What are
Mm-hmm.
you?
Yeah,
Are you
that's a difficult moment. Like that's a difficult point.
to not touch people and kill them sounds lovely. I
Right.
don't
But to
usually
lose.
want to touch people and kill them, but to lose your fur,
Yeah.
like you'd be so cold.
And just like
I don't know.
and just to be another white guy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude, you have a ticket out of that. Which I feel like he appreciates it. We're in a cabinet meeting right now where they do the strangest thing. We're talking about Magneto. We've got to trap this terrorist, and he's been all over the place. They have not been able to catch him, but they've been able to catch Mystique. Beautiful blue, crazy ass Mystique.
Is she an
Uh,
X too?
yes. Oh, she's been in all of them. Yeah,
I feel
and
like I
she is.
remembered more of her than there was in this movie. She seems like another character sacrificed.
Yes, yeah. Here's where we see like how amazing she is, and she has been amazing through the whole movie. Like in both X-Men and X2, she's basically the character who is the most fun and most important, who gets the most stuff done. She basically every time you see her, she's doing some kind of secret thing, and she's doing it successfully, and it moves the plot along.
She's a shapeshifter character, right? She can
Yeah.
become anybody she wants to.
Yes.
Is that literal? Does she? Because at one point she's like a little girl. Does she?
She gets the
Does she?
voice.
Well, does she? But like, there's
Oh, does
shifts
she physically
in.
change?
Yeah.
I believe she does. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was literal. Can she become other life forms or just human?
I believe it's just human. Yeah, and she can't be like a random inanimate object.
What's her name? What's her name? Raven
Raven
Darkholm.
Darkholm.
I'm
Yeah,
changing my name. I'm
I
gonna be
know. She's not happy
Laramie
with
Darkholm of the Fire Island Darkholms. Does she?
she's not happy with people calling her by her slave
No,
names.
her slave
But her
name.
slave name is Raven Darkholm, and I agree with you. I would have a hard time giving that up.
She wants to be Mystique, who, by the way, is a drag queen from second season of RuPaul. Whenever I watch that, I'm like, Mystique, did you name yourself after this X-Men character? Which maybe she did.
Yeah.
So she's blue.
Yeah.
Did she come out of the womb that way too? I guess I don't. Or do people become mutants eventually, or are they like immediately mutants?
They say mostly it comes out in puberty. So
Interesting.
that is kind of like the gay thing of at puberty you figure out that you're queer and
Or when
and
you're
and
six, when
turn
you're eight,
blue.
when you're
Yeah, or
six,
when you're six.
when your mom
Some
brings
people
you. Your mom brings you home a pair of white high heels because you wanted the silver shoes from the Wizard of Oz. So my mom is awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing childhood.
Just like here.
And then you're stomping
Okay,
around the
so
house.
here's Mystique, and I totally did. She's six, or she's six. She's caught, she's captured.
Hmm.
And she was on a mission, right? This is where we
Yeah,
find out what the
she went to the
oh,
FDA, and they watch a little. I don't know whether it's a video or a live feed. If it's a live feed, then they have amazing timing because she's just about to do hilarious shit where like she changes shape to become she's handcuffed to the chair. Handcuffs do not bother Mystique.
no.
Nothing bothers Mystique.
Why wouldn't you turn into like a little baby and then pull your hands out of the
Well,
handcuffs
she
and then
manages to do that anyway.
oh, I suppose.
She like gets to like she gets
She's
him.
very flexible.
Yeah, she gets the interrogator to come up close to her, and then she just bangs him in the head with her own head, and then jumps up on the table and then kicks people. Like she is so much. Mystique is like a secret agent computer genius with a black belt in imaginary martial arts, and she is so
So
much fun to watch.
why is she evil? Why are we supposed to why does she not have her own movie? Or did she have her own movie?
She actually in the once they reboot the X-Men, then with First Class and with Days of Future Past, they cast Jennifer Lawrence as
That's what
Mystique.
I thought.
And that
Okay.
was just when Jennifer Lawrence was becoming real famous. So she's in First Class, and then she starts becoming famous. And for the next couple movies, like she's a main character. She is the main character, and she's like the central one on the poster.
Okay. So like I get like Magneto. I was sold on Magneto from the first moment of this movie. Although
Yeah.
much as I like a cape, I just can't get behind his weird helmet thingy. So my question is like, what makes her? Is there something really awful about her? Like she's so cool, and then she's like, I'm embracing my mutantness. But is there like, is she? I don't know. Is she racist? Is she homophobic? Is there something
Like what makes
about
her
her
really?
that should make
It's
her unlikable?
no, there is absolutely like movie wise, there is nothing that makes her unlikable at all. I think she's like
Okay.
the most likable character, but she's on the
Kills
side of
people.
she kills
So
people. Yeah,
with
she's
her
on the
feet.
side of Magneto, who's the bad terrorist who is okay with killing humans. So then we find out about the cure. Like the thing that Mystique went to the FDA to steal is they hand Beast a file, and Beast says, "Dear Lord," um, because they have figured out they got a little kid, and they have figured out that they can bottle that kid and cure all the mutants. And Beast is asking, you realize the impact this will have on the mutant community? And we certainly do, because it is about to get released. Like, Beast is finding out about this very late. It kind of feels like the
Very,
same day
very
this is
little
about to
dark.
happen. Yeah.
Is Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Leech.
Little
Is
Leech.
he a character from the comics, or did they make him up for this movie?
I actually don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but that's a
Hmm.
good question. I didn't
Because he
look.
has a name too. It's like Jimmy, code name Leech. And I
Leech.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, you need it better.
He's probably, I
That is
know, right?
unkind. Because he
Oh,
seems
yeah.
so such a nice little kid.
Oh, little Leech. Oh, my goodness. He's
Look,
green.
he's green?
Yeah. He's so cute. All right. I actually, I,
Oh, did you look him up? Is he real?
I just looked at him. Yeah.
Oh, I like his hat. Oh, the t-shirt, the short sleeve t-shirt over the long sleeve. That's how I
Yeah.
dressed in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh,
So then we have another mutant who I absolutely love in this film who's coming up right now, because we see Xavier, he's teaching a class, and he's asking this question, great, when you have this great power, will it be used for good or for destructive ends? And
women.
he wants to show a video clip. And he says, Jones, and Jones blinks his eyes and turns the TV on. We saw that kid in X2 as well, just like flipping channels by
Oh,
blinking his eyes. That is his mutant power, is he can change the channels.
which
I
means you have to come to this school and you
Yeah.
have to learn how to be contained,
Right.
kid,
Can
because
you
we don't
yeah,
want you.
will you be
Oh,
using that for destructive
oh,
ends? Basically,
you're
it's like
you're
you're
in
going to be
Times
hard.
Square and you're changing the giant images in Times Square. No, that will not stand.
Your family is so sick of you. They're trying to watch something, and every time you blink, you got to watch a new show. You got to go get your own TV,
Oh
Jones.
my God, can you just not sit there and stare?
Keep a lid on this. So I love the thing that I love is the idea that Xavier just like is using one of his students for a random sermon. Like he's got an AV mutant. And I want Jones to like turn to the camera and go, "It's a living." There's a real good like Professor Xavier is a madman that you don't want to deal with kind of moment because he's teaching the class and then he just suddenly stops talking
Right. He's getting psychic
because
transmissions.
Storm is outside and she's having a feeling. And he's like, okay, we'll continue this tomorrow. And I feel like that's not what you want from a professor. I mean, if it's a boring class, I guess that's like best case scenario is
What was
that
he
he's
teaching them? Like, what was the name
jabbering
of
at
this
you.
class? The
I believe it's how to use power 101. Yeah, hard to say. They're always just giving these kids little lectures about evolution and about their
somebody
powers.
was taking notes, right? By like,
Yeah, by using her hand.
dangerous,
She's a little
so
scanner.
dangerous. You don't want that girl around you.
Well, what could she get up to? I
No one's gonna give her her own. Well,
No,
she's
you
too
ask
dangerous.
her to take notes. She's
She's too
amazingly useful.
dangerous. Too
Yeah.
dangerous. Got to be put at the bottom of a lake.
There's a kid who is walking along. Storm and Xavier are walking down the hall, and there's a kid who's flying two paper airplanes in front of him with his hand. Do you remember this kid?
No,
There's like these paper.
should have paid better attention to all the different
It's
mutants.
it's like I love that kid because it's like the kid who learns how to juggle, who just like happens to have juggling balls with him everywhere. He's like, "Oh, hey, I've got this," and so he's just like walking down the hall showing off because he can fly paper airplanes, which is fantastic.
Who can't?
Yeah,
You don't need a mutant power to do that. Sorry, I'm judging these kids too harshly. Well, they're going to destroy humanity, so
they're
I
just
suppose
children, Laramie.
they're youngsters.
They're
They're
youngsters.
gifted youngsters.
They
I
are
know.
gifted
I
youngsters.
should have more pity for them too. I think I'm supposed to want humanity to survive, right? That's what I'm supposed to want. So,
I don't see why that would be the case. Actually, it is super unclear exactly what anybody wants from that in this movie. We're going to see that happen.
all right. So then what happens?
They got a little staff meeting going with Storm and Xavier. Their Hank comes in, now the Secretary of Mutant Affairs, and Wolverine walks in, and so now we have a little sassy moment between Wolverine and Beast, and he is telling them about the a mutant antibody, a way to suppress the mutant X gene, and now they are calling it a cure. And so here's where Storm gets all upset. Since when did we become a disease? And then fucking Xavier just stares off into space and says, "They're announcing it now." So like apparently he just gets like broadcast signals.
From everywhere all the time.
It's how irritating it must be to try to like interact with Xavier when he's constantly picking up cross chatter.
He's an old white dude, so he can
So
control
he
this
control
power effortlessly. Not poor Jean. Well, and she has red hair, so
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So here we've got this press conference going on where Worthington is I don't know what his first name is. Mr. Worthington is out there selling his new cure. He's saying so-called mutants are people just like us. Their affliction is a disease, but there is hope. And so he's got a facility on Alcatraz for some reason. Yeah, naturally, as you do. And says finally we have a cure. And so this is the place where you can hook into it as like a queer person. This idea that like if they have a cure, if there was such a thing, like therefore like turning us into a disease and how pissed off we'd be about that.
well, look at the people that have to go to
Yeah,
camp
terrible summer camp. Yeah,
to what do they call it?
conversion camp.
Yeah, conversion camp, which is still very much a thing. I think there's this idea that like everything is better and the world is better and like queer people can run around and sing la 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 la, which I will do no matter what. But people are still getting killed. People are still getting murdered
Yeah,
and sent off to conversion camp. Yeah, when I watched this the first time, the whole cure thing really resonated with me. Where I was like, And I have had friends, who would say, "Well, if I had the choice, I wouldn't be gay." And I was always like, "No, no, it's such a
yeah,
part of who I am and a part of my
yeah. No, you'd be a
personality."
totally different person. Also,
I don't
you'd
know
have
what
to
I don't know what I would be. I don't.
you'd have to deal with girls, which yikes.
I have to watch sports. I have to drive a pickup truck. Ah, I don't
It's
like
a
it.
nightmare. Yeah, I don't know why they do it. Yeah. Rogue comes in, pathetic Rogue, who I do not like, who's so excited. She's like, "Is it true they can cure us?"
So you don't like Rogue. She does have that cool like skunk stripe though. Is it a choice or is that like did
I'm
that
not
happen because she sucked the wrong mutant dry?
that it did. It was that was there was a plot point.
Thought there might
It was the end of the first. It was the end of the first movie. She kind of goes through sort of a traumatic experience, and that turns that little stripe of hair white. I am not into it. Again, I just don't get Rogue.
Do you not like the character or do you not like the actor or both?
Both.
Okay.
That's Anna Paquin,
It
who
is Anna
is
Paquin. Did you ever see her in
somebody.
the piano when
Isn't
she
that
was a little girl?
isn't that like Suki Stackhouse?
Yeah, it's Sookie Stackhouse.
Yeah.
That's why
Okay.
when I was watching this, I was like, oh, she's so specific. Yeah, she was in the piano when she was like a
Yeah.
little girl, and that was really popular when I was in high school. My friends and I
Yeah.
went to see it for some bizarre reason. Sorry, Jane Campion, you're great. And I don't know. I like Anna Paquin. Okay, I think she's fine. I don't have anything against Rogue because if I just saw this movie without, well, I kind of did see this movie without any prior knowledge because I can't remember the events of the first two movies, so I didn't
Right.
really remember what Rogue's deal was, and
Right.
nobody
They
ever
do.
really.
Yeah, they do actually not establish that at all.
Which is interesting because she's the person that is like, I'm gonna get this cure. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
they do. There's a scene earlier, a little bit earlier, where she and Bobby are going out. She's going out with Iceman.
oh, he's so gay. Don't do
Yeah,
it. Don't
I
do it, Rogue. Don't
know.
do
I
that to
feel
yourself.
that. And so she's upset that she can't touch her boyfriend because she will drain his power and drain his life energy out of him. Yeah, as women so often do.
God. These
This is
movies.
why this is why we can't have a cure. We're in a church with this creepy mutant man who wants to organize a committee.
Oh, I want to be part of the bad mutants. I immediately want to be part of the bad mutants. I was like, they got all that black leather and
Yeah,
uh so there's Callisto.
Callisto. Yeah.
And she doesn't get a name. They never say her name. Am I
No.
right?
I had to
Okay.
You are absolutely correct. I had to look that
She
up.
was so cool. And I remember thinking she was so cool in 2006 because she's got like her hair is all pulled back and she's all
Yeah.
severe. There's a lot of like
And she's got a whole bunch of tattoos.
super dykey energy going
Yeah.
on. Right. There's like a bigger kind of woman who reads is queer.
With kind of like this funny like
Yeah, with
curl in
the
her
little
hair.
yeah, with the little curl. And Shockwave lady, right? And I'm just gonna give these people names.
She's
They're all so
Arclight.
gay. It's
They
like I
are
want
well,
to see
so
people gay
one
mutants.
thing that is like a little weird for me is that they mostly read as people of color. There's
Yeah.
four of them. There's the Callisto who can zip around. There's the
Fine,
woman with
dude.
the curl who's Arclight. There's Miles from Lost, who's Porcupine Boy.
Porcupine dude.
And then there's another one that they pick up at the end who's some Asian young woman with like purple in her hair. And she starts kind of like hanging around as part of the entourage too. And so there is it feels like he's gathering up all these like people of color, and those are going to be the evil revolutionary
Evil
mutants who are
ones.
going to
Well, it's
come.
interesting
Yeah.
too because thinking about how far we've come as far as representation in media, I
Mhm.
showed the Buffy episode once more with feeling when I was teaching musical theater a couple years
Yeah.
ago. This is like 2 years ago, and my students all sat back and they were like, "Mr. Dean, there were no people of color in that." And I was like, well, the demon was."
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, no, you're right. You guys are absolutely right. And I guess that was 20 years ago. But even that I was in college. It doesn't seem too long ago.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that in this. And I usually pay attention to that kind of stuff. How many people of color are there in the Good Mutants?
I
There's
mean,
Storm.
there's Storm. So there is Storm on the good side, and on the evil side, there's Magneto and Pyro. So it's not entirely.
Is Pyro Bobby's ex-boyfriend? Because they have some ex-boyfriend energy.
It feels like that. Yeah, we'll do that when they get together.
When they fight.
Yeah, when they fight. I totally agree. So one thing that I think is interesting is that obviously Magneto is right about everything.
Yes.
He's saying that this cure is extermination, that they will come for you. And he is 1,000% correct.
Absolutely, he is.
Yeah.
If Republican conservatives could invent an easy cure with a dart that would destroy trans and queer people, they would do it right
Oh my God, yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, no,
Oh
they
my
would go
God.
hunting. Yeah.
Right? I mean, but it isn't even like, okay, so let's go back to Beast and how he loses his color.
Mm-hmm.
He does. He loses his color.
Yeah.
Would they do that to people of color? Of course they would. Of course they would.
Yeah.
Of course,
No, we wouldn't
immediately.
be able to stop him. Yeah. And
A dart, a simple dart.
especially this, the way that they do this as well. Yeah, it's just like something like punctures your skin for 2 seconds and you're done. Yeah.
But no, I love Magneto. I mean,
Yeah.
it helps that he's Sir
That he's Ian McKellen. Yeah.
he's Sir Ian McKellen.
He is
Oh,
gorgeous. He just kind of like he takes over. He takes over this scene. He takes over this meeting. But honestly, he takes over any room that he walks
the whole
into.
anything. Yeah,
All he has
I
to
love
do
it.
is just open his mouth.
I
Yeah.
love when Callisto is like, "Where's your mark?" And he's like, "They mocked me years ago, my dear, and I will
Let
never
me
let
assure you, no needle shall ever touch my
needles
skin
ever come
again.
to my skin again." Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Such a good scene. Such a good scene.
Mystique's on a truck. She's in the
Oh,
prison. I know. She's delightful. Where she's pretending to be the president, and then she pretends to be a little girl, and
and she's Rebecca
they're
Romaine Stamos, or I guess
yes,
Rebecca Romaine. She's not Rebecca Romaine Stamos. She's great, and
she is
she's
great.
not really an actor. She was a model,
No,
wasn't
she's an
she?
actor. No,
Oh, is she? Okay,
yeah, she
okay.
does act. Yeah, she was on Ugly Betty, and right now she's on the new Star Trek
Oh,
show. She's on Strange New Worlds. She's
oh,
fantastic. She's really,
I
really
feel like
fun.
maybe at the time in my
This
head there
might
was
have
a lot
been
of
early for her.
criticism.
Yeah,
Yeah, that there people were like, oh, she's a model, but I thought she was fantastic, especially
she's the
physically.
best. Yeah,
Yeah, she's an excellent physical actor. And how
yeah, she
awful must
is.
it be to have to be naked? Like you're
I
basically
know.
in
Yeah,
a some kind of awful bodysuit or something. I don't know, but
it's gotta take.
props to
Yeah, it
you.
takes so much time to put that on her. Yeah, and you don't really see her except for like one bit in X2, and then here a thing that we'll get to for a second. You get to see her as Rebecca Romaine, but they keep her under wraps considering
Yeah,
how gorgeous she is.
she's in a truck and she's the little girl. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Kill you. I'll kill you.
When I
I'll
get
kill
out
you
of here, I'm gonna kill you myself. Yeah. And she
myself."
says it
The
in
guy's
that
like,
way, and you know that she will. She really means it.
and she'll do it with her
Can't fuck
feet.
around. Yeah, she will. Yeah, no, you don't. There's some people you got to just identify them early on, and then not just don't mess with them. Just walk
She's
away.
a victim. She's a
Get away.
victim of oversaturation of character and plot in this movie too. She definitely is. There could have
Mystique.
been more.
Oh yeah, no, there. It should be an
More
entire Mystique.
Mystique. Oh,
It
for
should be
sure.
an entire Mystique movie for sure. So then Beast goes to Alcatraz. He meets Dr. Rao, and then he meets little Jimmy. Like they have the
Who is not green and does
source of
not
the
have a
cure.
beard.
No, he's extremely pale, bald little boy.
Oh, big eyed.
Unclear why they have to keep him in what is obviously like video game prison.
But why are they keeping him there like that? If he's not a threat to humans, is it just to like milk him or whatever
Yeah,
it is?
they say that Beast asks like how long are you going to keep him here, and they say until we map his DNA. Which I don't know why you need a living boy sitting there in order to do that. Yeah,
No, I've watched enough forensic files to know you don't
you don't.
you don't need a living
We
person to
could have,
map.
yeah, we could have sent him home. There, it appears to be that they are just like bottling Jimmy juice, and that's the cure somehow.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I know. And then Beast comes up and tries to. So Beast asks like, "What's his powers range?" And the fact is, it is not very far. You got to pretty much walk right up
Okay,
next to
so
him in order to notice this.
his hand turns into Kelsey Grammer's human
Yeah,
hand,
yeah.
and then he moves away from him and it turns
It
back,
turns back
which
to blue.
maybe they did that on purpose to like foreshadow.
Yeah.
Is it do you have to inject Jimmy juice into you to affect like a quote permanent unquote
Yes.
cure? That must be the thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He must have like some kind of aura that like
There's something special inside him that, yeah, apparently in his DNA that they can. It's unclear. They do not say
he
where the
didn't
how the
turn
Jimmy juice comes
blue.
out of.
I think he said something like I what did he say about what he does? He doesn't take the mutant power and get it himself. He just
No,
saps
he
it.
just kind of like deactivates. Yeah, whatever mutant gets within like very very close range. Little Scott, little James Marsden,
Oh,
he's very upset.
still there. He's still
He-
there.
yeah, he's upset. He is he's driving his little bike and he's going to the lake because so this is Alkali Lake. This is where Jean drowned.
Right. This is pre-Enchanted, right? He hadn't done Enchanted
No,
yet.
he
I'm
hadn't.
just trying to think of how I knew who he was. If it was these movies, it might have been these
Might have
movies.
been.
He was the hot guy in the X-Men movies. That's how I remember him. He was the hot
Yeah.
guy. X-Men movies.
Hugh Jackman was the hot guy in the X-Men.
I never thought Hugh Jackman was hot until I got older.
Yeah.
When I was 20, it was James Marsden all
It
the
took a
way.
minute. Yeah, no, James Marsden is gorgeous. I feel like, and here actually is the scene where you finally get to see how
His
gorgeous he is,
eyes.
because
Yeah.
they take the
I read
eyeglasses
somewhere
off.
that part of the critique of the character was that he doesn't work in the movies very much because you don't get to see his eyes, which
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's hard to connect to him. That's how
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize like how he's just absolutely stunning. And so here he sees in a bright light, suddenly he walks up to the lake. Unclear why this is happening right now and why she's calling to him, but here comes Jean
Mm,
Grey, spooky
it's,
looking,
it's Jean Grey time.
bad wig, walking walking out of the lake. Her hair is all just kind of like lank and spooky.
More monstrous. She gets to have some fun in this.
In this right now,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like that much
No,
fun.
sorry, in the movie in general, I think
Yeah. You think she's having a good time? It feels to me like she's
well, I feel like it must be
we'll
more fun
see.
than
We'll
being
see.
like, "Oh, I'm Jean Grey. Oh, I'm so struggly." I mean, she gets to be like, "They've whipped you." I mean, she gets to like change
Yeah.
her voice and like
Yeah.
blow shit up. I don't know. I would.
Yeah.
It would be the role I would want to play. I would want to play Dark Phoenix, not good
Yeah,
Phoenix,
no,
but
no,
like,
you're right. I can see how she is actually. She's of course she's having a good time.
yeah.
I don't feel like that good time is getting translated on my end, but as long as she's happy, I guess. She gets to kiss. So she is able to take Cyclops's eyeglasses off and not get killed by his eye blast. And
What
then
does
we
she
see this
want in this scene? What does she
gorgeous boy.
want?
This is my question. Why is
Uh,
she kissing him? Why did she draw him here
yeah. And
to make a big entrance
he blasts the lake before like the
before
eye
she comes
blast
out?
must have
Yeah.
like woken her up or revived her. Okay, right?
Oh, I hadn't
Sure.
thought about that, but possibly,
I
maybe.
thought the eye blasting was what she needed to
Oh, in order to get out of the
to
lake.
reviviate. Totally
Hmm.
work. Yes, to reviviate. Yeah, to get
That is
out
very
of
possible. Yeah, I
her
didn't get that, but yeah.
her cocoon. Her what
Right.
the professor says later
It
she
says
must
she was
have
cocooned by her power, which I don't.
she power cocooned herself,
Yes.
which must have knocked her unconscious.
Yeah. But now she's got spooky eyes and she is sucking the life out of him. We
Oh, his
are
face goes like.
yeah, he gets all killed. And
I didn't know he died at first. I remember watching this. I was like, well,
yeah.
they can't kill him. They're not going to
Oh
kill
no,
him.
he's done. Yeah. We're
This is a real
27.
apocalypse movie though, where
There's a
they don't
lot of death.
mind
We're gonna
killing
see.
lots of people.
Yeah, we're gonna see a bunch of death. So James Marsden, for poor Cyclops, it's actually just because James Marsden wants to go and do Superman Returns. So they got to get rid of him somehow. And so here we learn, don't kiss the wrong person. That's a very important theme in this movie is do not kiss the wrong person. People should really think before they start kissing people. So Xavier gets another like psychic emergency broadcast. Scott has died. Scott has just been blown apart by a kiss.
He was so unhappy. Just euthanized Scott.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right, because he was having such a hard day.
Again, I didn't have a horse in this race. I was like, okay, but I feel like people were probably pissed. Like, right
Yeah, you're
when you
pissed with
kill
this, and the thing that's gonna happen is like they're gonna kill a whole bunch of
a whole
characters
bunch of
in a
people.
very short amount of time.
Why does Magneto wear that hat? Even the thing. I
The
thought it was a cool.
idea, I know. Well, with him in the big cape too, he kind of like strutting around in that big cape.
Did the Incredibles not teach us about capes?
No capes.
Why you
I know.
can't wear a cape as a superhero? Like you'll get caught in a jet plane and die. Catwoman used to run all over Gotham City in what was basically a ball gown
Uh-huh.
and a giant green tablecloth and high
Yeah.
heels. And they finally nixed that after 60 years.
The thing that is so funny to me about we really first see the cape and he's outside when they go to Jean's house.
Hmm.
And it doesn't wear well like in the suburbs of him. Like inside he looks crazy, but out like just seeing him walking around on a street with the big
Well, I
ass cape
suppose
and the helmet.
I think if I were the head of an evil mutant organization, I think I would totally wear a cape. By
You
that
would dress like
point,
that, yeah, yeah.
yeah, by that point, who gives a fuck? You can do whatever you want. I can take the any bridge I want, any famous bridge, and move it.
Yeah,
The power of my fingers.
yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, wear a fucking
I
cape. You do
yeah, wear
you,
whatever
bro.
you want. Yeah.
I just don't understand
Platform
the
heels. The hat is so that Charles can't do anything to him
hates. Oh, totally,
because he
he can mess
can't
around with your
he can't
head.
do psychic stuff through lead apparently.
Hmm. Why don't
I
they
don't know.
put that on Gene?
Uh I don't know. They try.
Hmm. I try to use too much logic sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is more sciency than a monster movie. In a monster movie, you have
Mhm.
magic, and magic can do whatever you. I mean, the rules are whatever the magic wants. This
This
isn't
is
more science.
magic-y. This is well, it's they pretended that it's sciencey, but really Xavier and Magneto are like the good wizard and the evil
Oh,
wizard.
they totally are. They
Yeah.
totally are. This just feels more real. Excuse me, more
More
realistic.
realistic. Yeah. No, this is definitely a very
Because
this
I,
is a
I feel
slice
like
of life
they're talking
movie
about they're
because
talking
they
about
use the word
chromosomes and
DNA.
DNA
Yeah.
and genes, right? This is all very very Mary Shelley coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
Okay, so are they going to Jean's house? Is that where we are?
They are going Xavier tells Storm and Wolverine to get to Alkali Lake, which is
Oh,
like
right. I haven't found out that he's dead yet. And everything's
yeah,
floating.
like we couldn't. Yeah. So yeah, they get to Alkali Lake. Storm and Wolverine get there and they look around. There's all this fog, which Storm has to blow away.
It's convenient. I mean, they needed
Yes.
to do something.
Yeah. And
Can
they
you see? Can you
see
see the writers? The writers are like,
oh, yeah,
what?
right. We have to. Yeah, Storm
What?
isn't doing anything in the whole first act of this movie except standing around and being judgmental about stuff.
I know.
So yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
Fog.
we'll give her some fog. You're so
Wait,
right.
I can handle this. There should be some kind of a problem. Like she should have to sacrifice something whenever she uses her power. Like she shouldn't just be able to do it. She should have to be like a
Why?
con.
No,
I
she's
don't know, to raise the stakes. Otherwise, she
she's
just seems like a tool. Like she's convenient.
like she's like Jones. Yeah, if they'd brought Jones to Alkali Lake, they would have needed like, okay, but we have to turn on this TV first. And then oh, he's blinking.
Gina's mysteriously left these televisions.
Turn
Turn them
on.
on, Jones.
Thank God you're here, Jones.
That's it. Well, because I was
Yeah.
like, why is there
Why
all
is
this
there
fog? Why
fog?
is everything
Yeah,
floating?
you're absolutely right. It's totally just like to give Storm something to do.
Something to
And so
do.
there are these floating rocks. Not every rock, just
Some
random
rocks.
rocks.
And they don't hurt. They're not
Some
doing any damage.
dewdrops, just kind of like floating. This is occasional gravity, which you don't see a lot of. I'm looking at him like Isaac Newton is going to be so pissed off about this. This is exactly what he was hoping we wouldn't do.
Occasional gravity.
Yeah,
It's there, but not all the
for
way.
some stuff. Yeah,
Because we need his iconic glasses to go
to
floating
be
by.
yeah
I
floating
guess is the only way
around.
that they know he's
So
dead.
Wolverine finds it. Although they spend a while not talking about that at all. There's a minute. I mean, there is other stuff coming up, but it takes a minute for somebody to say, "Hey, where's Scott, by the way?"
He's dead, but we liked him.
Yeah, yeah. We just find his glasses. And
But
then
I guess that is a pretty good signifier that he's dead. Because if he didn't have his glasses, he'd be like,
he'd be,
"Wah!"
yeah, you would know. You would, right? Cyclops is somewhere in the world without his, and he doesn't even have his glasses at all.
How was he born?
I think this must have, yeah, I
As a
don't know the
puberty
whole,
thing. As a
I don't,
puberty
is the
thing.
puberty thing, but still,
Let's just say as
I
a
don't know
puberty
the
thing.
story of like day one when he opens his eyes and all of a sudden, like he incinerates his
I feel like
bedroom.
that would be the end of the world. That would be the end of if you have somebody who's shooting destructive lasers out of their eyes and it blows everything up.
Constant energy, everything that he looks at. This
I
is
like
why
if you
we
were holding
need,
a fire hose and the fire hose was going and you were
yeah,
like, that's like Scott with his eyeballs.
except it kills everything in its wake. Yeah, no, this is why we need the Registration Act. This is what I keep saying.
No, you just have to have enough strength of character to wear these uncomfortable glasses all the time.
Or just close your eyes a lot.
I'm with Magneto. I'm sorry.
I know. I am. All
Get
right.
rid of the humans. Get rid of the humans. Although you can't. It isn't that all mutants are like happy hunky dory once the humans are gone. You still got people that can incinerate you.
Oh
With
yeah,
their
no. The
eyeballs.
problem. Yeah, no. This problem is not a problem. That's whatever you do. That's just step one. There's always a step two with these people. Well, guess what they find? Guess what they
Peter
find at
Peter.
Alkali Lake? They find Jean unconscious. They bring her back to school and lay
Mm.
her out in their little doctor medic lab. And Xavier gives us the dumbest possible explanation of what the fuck's going on, which is that she used her powers to wrap herself into a cocoon under the lake. So
Ah,
fine.
instead of just like wrapping herself in a cocoon and then emerging
And
from
then
the lake.
emerging. No, she just stayed down there. Jean apparently is a class 5 mutant, the only one he's ever met. Her potential is practically limitless. And he says the following: her mutation is seated in the unconscious part of her mind, and
I don't
therein
know what
lay the
that means.
danger. Isn't that lovely?
Don't know what that means. Like I wrote that down. I was
That's
like,
where your mutation is seated. Yeah.
is that in the hypothalamus? Is that in the I don't know the other parts of the brain.
I don't know.
Here, show us on the brain where Charles is for you.
Yeah, well, he creates a series of psychic barriers, he says, a whole series. And she developed a dual personality, which came to call
As
itself the Phoenix. And he
as
says it
one
is
does.
a purely instinctual creature, all desire and joy and rage. And I would say it's not as much joy as you'd think.
She takes very little joy in
She
doing
does
anything
not
she
she does not
does. So
smile a
this
whole
is the
bunch.
id, right? What he
Yeah.
should just say is it's the id.
Yeah.
We have Jean's id. I separated it. You're welcome.
So Wolverine is offended, as he should be, that Xavier didn't ask before he started erecting psychic barriers in your brain.
So you mind raped a little girl.
Yes,
Good work.
exactly.
Good
Yeah.
work.
And he says that he chose the lesser of two evils, which maybe
Mm-hmm.
he has. So
I love it when old white guys make decisions for me. I spent a great amount of my life letting old white guys make decisions for me, and they
and
don't
it
do
has
it.
mostly worked out.
Well, they're all dead now, so
At your hands. So Jean Grey has returned from beyond the pond. She is now a creature of pure rage, much like the audience about 15 to 20 minutes from now. And so that is the end of Act 1 of X-Men The Last Stand. I will be releasing Act 2 later this week. Thank you very much, Laramie. I will meet you back here for Act 2 of X-Men The Last Stand on the Superheroes Everyday podcast. Thanks for listening.